No, definitely no advantage. Um, got a chance to see him play a lot. Just as a fan, I watch Michigan State every chance I can. We show our players consistently over the course of each season. Michigan State rebounding, toughness, guard play, and then obviously having Michigan in the tournament, we watched those 3 games. We studied those pretty closely, but advantage, no. I'm not sure we have an advantage in this game. We're going to have to play our best game of the year.
What about them on the, sticks out to you that could pose a problem for you guys?
Well, first of all, it's the typical Coach Izzo team. They're tough, really tough. Not sometimes tough, not pull a couple clips tough, like tough. You watch the game for 40 minutes, they're going to make tough plays. I think they're mentally tough too. How do I know that, or why do I believe that when I'm not a part of their team? Just, it doesn't matter. I've seen them be down 12 or 14 points. They come back and win. I've seen them handle success and adversity. It appears to me to be a very mentally tough team led by their older guys. In terms of challenges, there's all sorts of them. There's NBA players. There's the Big Ten Player of the Year. There's offensive guys, defensive guys. So first thing I think we got to do is match their toughness. If we do that, then it'll be a basketball game. And then within the basketball game, there's some things that we've got to get done, some non-negotiables.
Coach, you've talked to your group, just especially here in the postseason, about eliminating distractions and just being as focused as you've ever been. How much more imperative does that message become now?
It's just a little difficult this time of year, just with the media and friends and family and people that you don't know that think they're your friends or family, want some tickets or this and that. Our coaching staff will be fine, but you worry about the guys. But just like we always do, you just put it in front of them, truth-telling, culture, and guys, this is what we got to do. So, but this is the Final Four. It's not a normal game. It's 72,000, I think, and so it's all about eliminating distractions. But that's not new. We've tried to do that from day one. It comes with different challenges on this stage.
I know your story now has kind of been well publicized about kind of that fast rise, at least recently, from D2 now to
fast rise.
Yeah, D2 recently, D2 to now the Final Four in a couple of years. Were you able to ever? I know you're very much like next game, focus on the next opponent type of thing. But were you ever able to kind of just reflect on, wow, I'm in the bleeping Final Four?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not yet. Really, I was trying to win the next day. You up on the ladder, cutting the net now, and that's cool. Then you trying to make sure all the guys get to the locker room. It's just kind of next thing. I'm hoping there's going to be some time to reflect. I know last year was a great ride, and I did enjoy it. And late April and May and June, we had some great times, and we were able to look back on that Elite 8 team stuff. So I'm hoping this year will be no different. But in terms of really enjoying anything right now, not so much.
Where did that post-game kind of Old Town Road song tradition come from? Who kind of brought that up to you?
Well, we've been doing those celebrations since 1999, Fort Scott, Kansas, when there wasn't any internet or cell phones. That's when they were really fun. Now we have to kind of curb it because guys sneak in from time to time. But and then we always have kind of a song we latch on to. So I think last year, Neon Guts. You ever heard that, Don?
Tell me the words.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure either, the word. No, that song's kind of it's kind of a good song, man. Y'all heard it? Like at the first, you think it's kind of like a country song, and everybody's happy. Like I'm happy at first, players are happy, kind of in the middle. And, I don't know, it's kind of a cool song.
Who introduced it to you?
I don't remember.
And then your guards, often you do kind of that switch on everything. Your guards end up matched up inside against the big guys a lot. What's that kind of key that you teach them to handling themselves inside?
Yeah, we work a lot on that. We talk to our guys a lot about being basketball players and not being positioned. So our bigs will work on, dribble, pass, shoot today. Our guards will work on post moves and guarding big guys. So it's kind of just the versatility that we play in. And when you've got big guys like a Matt or a Culver in the guard spots, you can do some things with the switch.
Coach, you mentioned how different this is, the media and everything that you guys do. Now a lot of people are talking about how good your basketball program is, and you guys have been talking about being the underdog this whole time. How hard is it to keep that mentality with the players, knowing that people are talking about individual players on this team for the first time, and they're going to be talking highly of you at this point?
Yeah, it's just part of it. I mean, we won the Big 12 regular season championship. We've been ranked for most of the year. I think even Carlos got us in there, eventually. No, I think it's just part of it, playing at this level. But I have a lot of confidence in our guys because we're led by those 4 seniors, and our younger guys listen. And, I think we've got a lot to worry about. And it's about Michigan State and how good they are. But I really don't worry about the other things. I think I got a lot of confidence in our guys. These are veteran guys. I mean, I know this Sunday, these guys were in the gym all night shooting, and that was yesterday. And then today is just a normal day.
How do you prepare? I know both teams have to do it, but how do you prepare to play in an outdoor football stadium, especially that one with all of these glass windows? I know they got a drape or whatever that they throw up, but it's a different setting.
Yeah, it's unique. I think a lot of teams try to play non-conference games in these venues. We weren't able to pull that off, but that's one thing people try to do. Won the national championship game in Dallas recently. It was supposed to be, then people played there earlier in the year. So they played some games in the non-conference. I think maybe Oklahoma State was there. I think they played Minnesota maybe. But anyway, that's one thing you can do, but we weren't able to do that. But they give you some practice time. I think we get a practice in there on Thursday. Used to, they wouldn't let the teams practice on Thursday, and I think they want offense to go up, in my opinion, so they let you practice in there a little bit. And then Friday we'll have the open practice, which is a big-time part of the Final Four. Coaches grow up going to it, myself included, and that'll be cool. But I think you just try to get your guys as many shots as you can in the time they give you because it is a different experience.
What was the scene like coming back Sunday morning? That all the fans out there, from your eyes, it almost felt, all the screaming, it almost felt like the Beatles were coming back.
No, it was cool. It was humbling. Guys are still talking about it. It's just cool to see our players that happy, and I'm so appreciative of everybody that went out there. It must have been 2 o'clock in the morning. There was an energy about it, so it was just really cool for me personally to see how happy our players were and how cool that was. But it doesn't surprise me. We have a great fan base here, and just want to thank everybody again. Hope everybody's enjoying this, and those that can get out to Minneapolis, I hope you have a great time. There'll be some Red Raider type functions going on, I'm sure. Those of you that you can't, hope support the businesses here in Lubbock that have been good at Tech basketball, and I just hope everybody has a great experience here. We're kind of done with the Mark Adams deal. Coach doesn't have any more tickets, and they saw him just aimlessly walking around the parking lot this morning. I think he's been getting a bunch of phone calls from people. So I just got to put the word out there. Please help me. Mark Adams isn't in the ticket business anymore.
What's the coolest phone call you got from somebody in the past 48 or 72 hours?
Yeah, that's a great question. That'd be
Text message.
That'd be kind of cool just to ask all the coaches and put in the tournament, not just the Final Four, but. I had a chance to talk to Coach Izzo this morning on the phone. That was really cool. Haven't heard from people personally, but I think somebody said Des Bryant was saying some good stuff about us. He's somebody I respect for it because of how competitive he is. Love to coach a guy like that. And, of course, he's a Big 12 guy. You guys all know my love of college football and stuff, and I'll hear from college football coaches. That all means a lot. Charlie Strong reached out, and that's pretty cool. So. And then I've been fortunate enough, you guys know how I feel about Texas country music and stuff. Some of those guys reach out, and that's a good question. I think it's kind of part of March Madness. It's just kind of cool to hear from people.
Which I was going to ask you, had you ever crossed paths with Coach Izzo before?
He won't remember this, but I did meet him one time with Coach Knight. One of many things that I respect for Coach Izzo, and I could go through the list. Number one, he's like a coach's coach. He has that great respect for Coach Heathcote, his mentor, and then older coaches, and now he takes care of younger coaches. He's just good for college basketball. He takes care of coaches. And, number two, he's just, the toughness they play with and the unselfish culture. To me, it's just the way the game should be played. But I did meet him one time when I was working for Coach Knight, and it was just cool to meet him. He probably doesn't remember that, but yeah, he had some great things to say this morning about our program and our team, and I don't take that lightly. Guys like Coach Izzo, they don't have time to mess around. If he says something, he means it. So when something comes out of his mouth, it's just like hearing that from a Coach Kruger, or Coach Huggins, or Coach Self, or Coach Weber. It's pretty cool.
And earlier I was asking Matt and Tariq what the key was from their perspective to get up to speed quickly in a new program, to be able to be key components to all of this. From your perspective, the success that you've had with graduate transfers, what is the key to get them incorporated quickly to where they can be major players to help you make a run?
Yeah. Well, first I think you got to acknowledge that what your question was is true. Like, just because you're really talented, you can't just come to your next team and just take over. I mean, it is a process. And we've been really fortunate. We're good at this. It's not arrogance. It's just our background. In junior college, your roster is always changing. Coach Green's roster changes every year, and then they're in Hutch. In Division II, your roster changes. You get a lot of one-year guys. And so, I think we're good at this. I think we coach one-year guys as good as anybody in the country. And so what we tell our guys is we just got to get a lot done. We got to get the relationship and the trust formed quickly, and it doesn't just happen naturally. We got to work on it. So I told Matt and Tariq way back in the summer, hey, we got to get twice as much done today as anybody else in the country is doing, because we're fighting time. That's what you're fighting. You're fighting time. So it's just the urgency. So to me, like, the number one thing we look for in grad transfers is love of the game, and do you really want to do this? Because if your expectations are just to practice every day at 3:30, that's not what we are looking for. We're looking for you to put in 2-3 times as much time as anybody else, because you're trying to catch up. And Matt and Tariq have done this. And those guys have a real unselfishness about them. Those guys not one time this year have asked me about minutes or shots or anything individual. It's always about team. Like, I vividly remember winning a game here in November and walking down the hallway, and I'd probably made a coaching mistake. I didn't play Tariq enough minutes that night. When I got the stat sheet walking up, well, that's not right. Coaches make mistakes too. And you walk in the locker room and you don't know what you're going to be seeing here. Well, Tariq's jumping up and down, dancing, hugging teammates. He doesn't care. He just wants to win. So right when I saw that, I knew we had it. And that's what Matt's been about from day one too. He wants to win. So those guys have an unselfishness to them that's really allowed this to happen.
Coach, a year and a half ago, you sat here right before the South Alabama game, and you said you pray for three things every night. You pray for your daughters, you pray for a Bob Seger, I think it was a reunion or something like that.
He's coming back. I got tickets in the Woodlands.
Mm-hmm. And then you said you pray for Norris to have a good season, a healthy season. And now 72 healthy games later, how does that feel?
Yeah, he deserves it, man. I mean, life doesn't work like that way. People don't just get what they deserve, but sometimes – it happens. And but if anybody deserved this, it's Norwich. I mean, coaching change, injuries, could have been a grad transfer. I respect guys that like Matt and Tariq. It's part of it. These are decisions. But you also got to respect the guy that stays the course. Sometimes the best decision is to stay, and Norwich did. And he just works. I mean, I can't tell you how hard I am on him in terms of being a leader. Not necessarily him and his game, because he brings it, But I just to get him to try to think outside of his box this year and be a leader, a real leader, not a fake. It's real leadership what we're getting. It's a big part of what's going on here with this team, and why we're still playing is we've got real leadership. And Norwich has been consistent from this summer all the way until just the other day against Gonzaga. Norwich was really, really vocal in the second half.